legendary Scott Garceau, and, of course, Hall of Famer Jim Palmer. Thank you, Brooks Day. Very appropriate. Starting off with you, Jim. You were a young baseball player when you came up from the minors and you met Brooks. What impression did Brooks have from you from the beginning?
I think it was actually the Vitalis commercial because, I got here when I was 19 and he was the MVP in 1964. So the Orioles had a pretty good club that year. They almost beat the Yankees in 60. And so the game of the week, they'd have commercials. And I saw this guy, Brooks Robinson, and put the Vitalis commercial on that and all that. And the next spring, I'm 19. Brooks is, 1965. He's the MVP. Hits 18 home runs. And all of a sudden, he's my teammate. I talked to him the other day. I said, "You made more comebacks than Frank Sinatra." Yeah. And he just started laughing. But, the interesting thing to me is when you get to the big leagues, okay, you get here. And, we had a pretty good club in 65, won 94 games. Now the Twins won 102. Next year, Frank Robinson would come and win the Triple Crown, and we'd go to the World Series and win. But you're always kind of looking around when you get to the big leagues. I mean, I roomed with Robin Roberts, who was on his way to Cooperstown. But when you started looking at people and Brooks had a sporting goods shop and he had a restaurant, the Gorsuch House, not too far from Memorial Stadium. You start looking around the locker room and you're going, geez, if I stay here a long time, who do I want to be like?
Yes.
Not only what he did on the field, but as kind as he is and always autographing things. And now Brooks, I think, is 85. I'm 76, closing in on 77, and everywhere I've ever gone, I mean this, they go, yeah, Brooks Robinson was here, and I go, how'd that go? And he goes, most amazing guy I've ever met, and that's Brooks Robinson. So very rarely, do you get a chance to come to a team that would, and I was in 6 World Series, where you get to be here on a team that had the best winning percentage for the 20 years I was here, and your role model is the guy playing third base, not only on the field but off the field. And he's a special human being, and you just never find a nicer guy.
Scott, growing up here in Baltimore, watching Orioles baseball, listening to it when it wasn't on TV. It wasn't on TV as much then as it is now. I would turn on, I would see you and Brooks. How was it working with Brooks Robinson?
Well, Rob, it's like one day you're a young kid collecting his baseball card, and then I think I'm 29 years old, and I'm in the booth with this legend, and you don't feel like you're with a legend. You meet him, and suddenly he makes you feel like an equal. Now, obviously, this guy shared championships, was a contemporary. I was basically the fan that got a chance to be with him, but as Jim mentioned, traveling around the country, because remember in those days, Rob, we didn't do home games. All our games were on the road. But going through airports with Brooks, hotels, he never had a bad day, right? We always have a day once in a while. We get up on the wrong side of the bed and maybe things just don't go right and we're a little snappy. I never saw Brooks have that day. We were walking through the airport in Arlington after a Rangers series one day, and a bunch of fans came up, and it was pictures and autographs, and Brooks couldn't have been better. And we walked a little ways. I said, Brooks, you know what a collector's item is? He said, what's that, Scotty? I said, a ball or a picture that you haven't signed or taken, because I was there for everybody, and it was just so natural. It wasn't like he hit a button. That's who Brooks Robinson was. And I also remember being in a booth. I'm not sure if it was here at Camden Yards or Memorial. I think it was here at Camden Yards. And President Clinton was here that day. And they told us he'd be up for a half an inning. And I interviewed him in the back of the booth with Secret Service guys all around me. And then he sat down. He had an Oriole jacket on. And he was like a 10-year-old at his first baseball game because he was sitting next to Brooks Robinson, his idol, the Arkansas connection. That's the impact that Brooks has on everybody. If you're a common fan or you're a president, you love Brooks Robinson.
You have to love Brooks Robinson. Guys, thank you. Look forward to hearing you on the broadcast, and I'll get it right today, Scott.
All right, you better, Rob.